Earlier this month, AI leaders gathered at the HumanX conference in San Francisco to discuss the real-world implementation of the evolving technology. I spoke with Chief CEO Alison Moore about what's important across AI right now, including leadership. Check it out.
It's very clear that this moment in AI is around speed, velocity, scale, and impact of that. But it's not only a moment for speed, but it's also very deeply a moment for leadership. And what is all that speed, velocity, and scale doing for leaders as they contemplate what is a very human impact to that? What's happening in organizations? How are we designing? How are we building? How are we thinking about HI and, which is human, and then AI collaboration? So because I am CEO of this amazing organization, I have a front seat to what's happening with the women who are Fortune 500 executives. They are entrepreneurs, they are builders, they are founders, and they are thinking about AI in everything that they are doing, but they're thinking about it also with this other piece of the consequences of AI. So not only what AI can do for us, but what it is actually doing to us. And because of that, it's that kind of contemplation, that element of thinking around the corners that really shows us how important leadership is going to be in this next future of work, because we're running so fast, so quickly to hit the scale, to kind of hit to those numbers that we're all under pressure for. But the pause in a moment to think about the human implications of this are very important, and we see women leaders doing that first.
Is that what you think the difference is between women who think about AI and men who think about AI?
I think all humans are thinking about AI, and I think any business leader is thinking about that, particularly when you've had an organization that thrives on human capital and human infrastructure. I think women, because of their unique space that they have had to be in, elbowing yourself into rooms that maybe you weren't invited to before, you recognize, and particularly when you're a senior woman leader, you look back and you see what it took to get you where you are, and you have a very, very specific sensitivity to what might be a consequence if we move too fast. And so maybe it's just like a lived experience piece that women know a little bit more deeply, but I do think women and men in leadership roles are thinking about this, and my urgency is for them to not only think about this, but to start to design and contemplate what that future of work looks like, so that we are protecting spaces and areas for human ingenuity and creativity and collaboration and judgment and being able to read what the data doesn't tell you.
And speaking of data, I understand that you just unveiled some data along with the Harris poll. Can you walk us through that?
Yeah. So, all the things that we were seeing in Chief, the conversations I have with women leaders every day, we decided to kind of validate and test our own assumptions with this poll, with the Harris poll. And what we found was that, despite a lot of the narrative that's out there about women in AI, they're trepidatious, they're scared, they're hanging back, they're not sure what to do. We're not seeing that. So what I saw is 80% of the women that are senior leaders that we queried are actively involved, whether it's in governance, whether it's in product rollout, whether it's in strategy. 80% of them have a seat at the table in designing, building, making the AI kinds of policy and or actions that are happening at their company. The other thing we revealed, which was just part of that journey of contemplation, is that 87% of the women that are in the middle of it right now with a seat at the table are seeing consequences of what's happening with their team. Their team is acting faster, yes. Moving from A to B very quickly, yes. But they are losing critical thinking skills. They are losing the human-to-human magic that comes with collaboration as a consequence. And so because of what they're seeing, they're taking action. And so 85% of them had said, based on what I'm seeing, I am thinking about and deliberating the design, the rollout, and the way I bring AI into my division, my area, my business, with this in mind. How do I protect? Not how do I stop, how do I slow down, but how do I protect the great qualities that are around human collaboration and ingenuity, and then at the same time, while we're promoting AI, acceleration, speed, and all the great things that come with it.
Do you think there are ways to scale AI on I'm going to ask this again. Do you think that there are ways to scale AI in a larger organization while keeping the human touch?
Absolutely. I can see women already in chief that are doing that. And I think what happens is in the binary world that we live in, where velocity is the only perceived value, it is alluring to be going as fast as possible and unpack as much as possible and kind of think about the speed and the destination first without taking the longer road perhaps to kind of figure out, well, how do we do this together? How do I create a human and agentic workforce that works side and side together and protects some very specific things that are required right now? Where does human judgment have a role and protect that? And how do you build around the opportunity for talent, particularly for the young people who are coming up, who are not given these opportunities that we were all given, me particularly at the age that I am? This is not going to be there for them. How do we protect that where we're sitting in right now? And how do you look at your org chart and pre-design for it, pre-think about it? And I think those kinds of questions are important to ask, and they're being asked right now in companies everywhere. I just urge more folks to be attuned to that. And in our assumption, because women leaders are thinking about this more directly, whether it's lived experience, whether it's just because of the teams that they run, bring them to the table and make sure that you are hearing their voices.
Do you think leaders, AI leaders, need to face AI head on? It is coming fast and rapidly. Do you think that they need to keep pace? And how can they balance keeping pace while also being thoughtful about the rollout?
I wish I had the final answer to that, but I know it can be done. And I think part of the contemplation and the desire for that, not to slow, but to think about it and look 360 about the implications about what we are doing. We have been here before. We are always going to optimize for speed and scale. That's what we do. It's the way the economy runs. There's a lot of merit to that. But we have been here before in social media and the rise of the internet and thousands of innovations in between. And we have an ability right now to ask ourselves the questions and make the choices that will help protect. Not slow down, but protect.